Hey guys, what's up? This is Valgamer from Gymlight. Welcome to a quick demo of Mega Billboards Nude Girl in Heels. Now, as you can see, this girl ain't nude in this YouTube video because I need to follow these, well, kind of ridiculous rules, right? It's okay to showcase people's heads being blown off in gaming videos. That's okay, but you cannot show any, nude body. It's kind of ridiculous, but it's the way it is. So this set consists of 288 renders of a girl, and we have rotational incremental rotations for each height. There is 65 centimeters height, 115, 165 and 225, and I've remade some of these so that she has a bra and panties to follow these ridiculous rules again. So for each height you got 36 rotational angles. For instance, if I click on the first girl here, which is this one, and we choose 10, she's gonna get a different angle and we can rotate her. And for each 36 angles here, there is also a D or F version, which you can see on the left. This girl can also be, of course, non-DOF, but I've also included a depth of field version because right now we are seeing a live rendering using the Filament render engine, which means that it's virtually live and you can render this, you can zoom in and get really high quality renders. These maps are 6K. So these girls will look really high resolution. You can zoom in quite a bit and get exceptional detail because these are 6K renders, guys. So there's a lot of detail in here, right? Now, because Filament doesn't have depth of field on the camera, you cannot blur it. So I've included depth of field versions of the maps. So let's say you click on this secondary girl, click on depth of field, and she's blurry. And now we can do vice versa. You can have this one sharp and the other one unsharp. All right, so you can do that as well. So Filament is one of the render engines, and then you can also use texture shaded preview, which is another fast way of rendering, and it's not as good and may create some edge, especially in the live preview. And when you render, use multipass OpenGL and do not use this one here, the shader, and just click on render. It's instant, very, very fast. This edge is not perfect in texture shaded preview. This is just the way it is. The background is a spherical background. It's black by default. You can easily change its color to white, and that may or may not look slightly better with these edges here on the girls, right? Same in Filament. In Filament, I would not use emission, which is not needed. There we go. Now, let me blur the second girl here real quick. I'm gonna just select a blurry version of that, a different angle. And I'm gonna select the main one as sharp. Now here's the thing. This can also be used in iRay. So if you switch over to iRay, NVIDIA iRay obviously has depth of field on the cameras, right? So what you can do here is, let me just switch back to black. By the way, when you render in iRay, you can remove the background. I would recommend you do that. And then simply use a environmental backdrop, like for instance black or white, or any color you prefer. And on top of that, Of course, we remove the sphere, so light floods in, and you can use nudity array here, just tone it down if needed. Now the pro of using iRay is that iRay does indeed have depth of field, right? So you can have the girls, both of them, as sharp. And let's just change the angle, and then you can zoom in and say, hey, I want, you know, this girl here on the right sharp, I want the left one blurry, so you can set the camera to depth of field. And then on the auxiliary viewport, you can go to top view. You can see the dual planes here, 1 and 2, and you can set the depth of field, in this case on the secondary one, and just adjust it down to taste. And pretty much you will get, you know, a lot better depth of field effects here, because these are real, right? So you can adjust them, and you can switch between them in animation, for instance, like so. So it's just perfect. And by the way, these maps are really high res. As you can see, you can get really close to them, and they will have just amazing detail. These are 6K maps, guys. We have a lot of detail, extremely detailed. All right, so as a base, this is meant as a kind of like a photo shoot with a dark background or white background. You have 1 or 2 girls, you can, you know, rotate them, and you can, as it says, switch heights. So for instance, if I choose here something lower, if I pair this one here, you can have a low camera angle on this girl to the right. So she like captured a little bit from below with the camera, right? Let's switch back to filament, live rendering. All right, and same thing on the other girl. We can turn her away if you want. And you got now the lower camera angle. It doesn't really matter if you match the camera in here right now, right? Doesn't really matter. What matters is if you start playing and adding these to real backgrounds. I'm just going to show you that really briefly. What's important though is that these are obviously full figure renders, and you want these at all times to aim at the camera. You don't want it to look like this or like this, right? So ideally you want to always be in the middle with the camera and just capture them straight towards the camera. And then you can do all kinds of operations. You can zoom in with the camera, move it up and down, and you can also obviously use tilting like that, right? Pretty cool. All right, so let me show you briefly how you can just add this to a real set. So let's go and load, for instance, stonemasons. New set, meditation gardens. All right, now when using these sets and you want to use shadows on the ground, I would suggest you use iRay for that. And by the way, iRay is always the best option. There's here filament has some issues with transparencies, and so does texture shaded. Texture shaded will actually place trees behind, in front of her head. So take a look at, if I just move her, let's say here to the right, and move that a little bit to right here. There we go. Alrighty, move a little bit forward, and lower the camera. And what happens now, if I move a little bit closer to her, see what happens? She ends up behind the trees. So it's kind of weird that way, but this is the limitation with texture shaded preview. And filament, it's slightly better, but it doesn't really project everything perfectly. There are issues with that. And I'd say the best option when blending these with real scenes is to use nudity array. That just looks best. It carves the edges best around the characters. They blend better with your scene, and it just looks real, right? And here you can also use real camera depth of field to blur the scene behind the girl. All right, let's lower this to get a bit more effect. And we can find her here. We can select the girl here and use frame up here. So we immediately place the top view on top of the girl. And now we can adjust the depth of field to match that perfectly. Somewhere around there, right? And it matches pretty nicely. Now, what you also can do is, if you want to capture shadows, like if I zoom out, we don't have any shadow that she's casting. And if you turn on, let's say, NVIDIA Array Preview here real quick, and draw the dome, you can see that there is no shadow being cast, and we can fix that by having certain angles. It's very, very important that we have correct angles, and that she's also standing on the ground, which is very, very important. So I'm going to move her until she stands on the ground, somewhere around there, a little bit higher up. Let's go up a little bit more. Oops, she's going down. She's going down. All right, let me do this manually. There we go. So you can make a character cast shadows, and you want to think about a little bit on the direction that the character has towards the light. You don't want to light these from the side. So for instance, if I choose the lighting now to come completely from the side, that pretty much removes the shadow altogether. There's no shadow being cast from the girl right now because she's flat, right? But we can come from behind. Whoops. We can come from behind and cast a shadow perfectly, and we can also do that from the front. As long as there is an angle, she will cast a shadow. All right, so you can match them pretty nicely with, you know, real scenes and all that. I kind of removed the draw dome on. Okay, we have the environmental. There we go. All right, so that is pretty much it. So all in all, 288 maps, 144 sharp, 144 with depth of field, and 288 masks. That's 576 or something maps in total, all in 6K glory. Now, like I said, this is primarily a kind of like a dark photo shoot or white background photo shoot. You can play with and animate or do stills and zoom in quite a bit. You can animate them because it's very, very fast, especially with the filament. It's also very fast in array, and you know, has less memory overhead, and you can just quickly get very, very nice renders. Just remember to always aim these straight towards the camera as much as you can to avoid that flattening effect on these billboards. So guys, this package has a lot of images. It took a long time to create. So I'm having a special right now, but it's only going to be available for a very short period of time So go ahead, grab this package now. And like I said, I made a few versions with bikini on, or bra and panties. These are not dressed, they are nude. She has heels on though. So if I just go back here, Dreamlight Array, Mega Billboards. These are nude, but I can't show them here on this YouTube video. I might maybe release a version that is dressed as well with a bikini, because it looks kind of good, right? So guys, that's a quick intro. Thanks so much for watching. Go ahead, grab this now, and I'll see you soon again.